A financial advisor recorded 5 podcast episodes in 2020. 5. Then he quit because, in his own words, it was just a waste of time. He uploaded those same 5 episodes to YouTube instead. Today, his firm manages $1.3 billion in assets. YouTube generates $120 million in new AUM annually, and his marketing costs are net negative. YouTube literally pays him to acquire clients. Meanwhile, according to Buzzsprout's platform data covering nearly 118,000 active podcasts, the median podcast gets 28 downloads in its first 7 days. 28. Every marketing consultant and conference speaker has been telling you the same thing. You need a podcast. So here's the data behind the debate that honestly they don't want you to see, and why the answer isn't what you've been told. Listen, after working with advisory firms from solo practices to those managing over $10 billion in assets, I've watched advisors invest thousands and thousands of dollars in podcast production. And I've watched what happens when they redirect that investment to YouTube. Before we go any further, there's one area where podcasts genuinely outperform video. And I'll get to that, because ignoring it would make this a sales pitch, not an analysis. But first, the discoverability numbers, because that's where the debate gets settled. Here's the statistic that should reshape how you think about podcast distribution. YouTube is the #1 podcast platform in the United States. Not Spotify, not Apple Podcasts, YouTube. The Cumulus Media and Signal Hills Insight podcast download reports have been tracking this trajectory closely. Fall 2024, YouTube sat at 34% as the platform used most by weekly podcast consumers. Spotify was at 17%, Apple Podcasts at 11%. By spring 2025, YouTube climbed to 39%, with Apple dropping to just 8%. And the fall 2025 report showed YouTube reaching an all-time high of 42%, more than double Spotify. Now, I want to be fair with this data. YouTube's self-reported dominance is somewhat overstated compared to actual listening behavior. Edison Research's share of ear data, which measures actual time spent rather than self-reported performance, shows that YouTube is at 28% of podcast listening time, nearly tied with Spotify at 29%, still ahead of Apple at 18%. Even by the most conservative measure, YouTube captures the largest or second largest share of actual podcast consumption. Any strategy that ignores it is ignoring where a third of your potential audience spends their time. So here's the question we're sitting with. If you're paying for podcast production that only distributes to Apple Podcasts and Spotify, platforms that combined represent roughly 28% of consumption, why is your strategy ignoring the platform commanding 42%? Now, let's talk about the discoverability problem here, because this is where the math gets uncomfortable. Buzzsprout's January 2026 platform data, based on 117,929 active podcasts and 96.5 million monthly downloads, tells a harsh story. The median podcast gets 28 downloads in its first 7 days. The top 10% threshold, 430 downloads. Top 1%, 4,753. The market is saturated with abandoned shows. Approximately 4.57 million podcasts are indexed worldwide, but only about 605,000 released even a single episode since January 2025, according to Baron Media in Listen Notes data. When you apply a stricter definition, a new episode within 90 days, and at least 10 total episodes, only about 345,000 podcasts qualify as truly active. That's according to Rob Welch, VP of Libsyn. More than 4 million podcasts are essentially dormant. And here's the part that should concern you most. How do people find podcasts? Yeah, according to Edison Research, 78% of podcast listeners discover shows through friends and family. Only about 19% search within apps for new shows. Podcast discovery depends on word of mouth. And listen, word of mouth is the exact mechanism that's declining in effectiveness for financial advisors. We have the data. Now compare that to YouTube. YouTube's recommendation algorithm drives approximately 70% of what people watch on the platform. That's according to YouTube's own chief product officer, confirmed independently by Mozilla and MIT Technology Review. YouTube has 3 discovery surfaces: homepage recommendations, suggested videos, and search. All of them incorporate personalization based on viewing history. That means your retirement planning video can surface to someone who has never heard of you, but who has watched similar content from other advisors in the past. That's a cold prospect becoming warm through algorithmic matching. the kind of scalable, predictable discovery that podcasting simply cannot replicate. Here's the math that makes this real. A 70% completion rate on 28 podcast downloads reaches about 20 people per episode. The same content as a YouTube video, even with a 30% completion rate on 5,000 views, well, that reaches 1,500 people through the algorithmic discovery. The deeper engagement of podcasts only matters if people find the content in the first place. Now, I put a lot of research into these videos, but after years of doing this work, I've learned that I'm still not going to get everything right at all times. If you spot an error, especially anything compliance related, call me out in the comments. I'll address it in a pinned comment below. And if this kind of content is useful for you, subscribe. We publish a new video every week, specifically for financial professionals building YouTube channels. So, the platform data and discoverability numbers tell one story, but what actually happens when real advisors make this choice? Hey, and quick disclosure, these are real case studies from publicly documented sources. Results vary significantly based on implementation and consistency. This is educational content. Always consult with your compliance team before implementing marketing strategies. Okay, so James Canola at Root Financial, he recorded 5 podcast episodes and quit, according to the Kitsy's Financial Advisor Success Podcast episode 445. He called it just a waste of time. Ouch. We uploaded those same 5 episodes to YouTube. 6 to 8 months later, one of those videos started getting hundreds of views, then 1,000, then 3,000. YouTube's algorithm had found his content and started distributing it to people searching for retirement planning guidance. Today, Root Financial manages $1.3 billion in assets. YouTube generates $120 million in new AUM annually with 700 plus qualified prospects, each with a minimum of $500,000 in investable assets. Production costs? A single editor at approximately $20,000 per year. YouTube pays the firm $120,000 in ad revenue. Net negative marketing costs. Prospects watch 12 to 18 months of content before reaching out, then convert at 90 to 97% in a single 30-minute meeting. 5 abandoned podcast episodes became a $1.3 billion practice. Not because the content was bad, because YouTube's discovery engine could actually find an audience for it. Ben Felix at PWL Capital. He runs both, a YouTube channel with over 522,000 subscribers and a podcast called The Rational Reminder with over 405 episodes, according to the Kitsy's Financial Advisor Success Podcast episode 433. Here's how PWL's lead sources rank. Number 1, web. Number 2, YouTube. Number 3, social media. Number 4, the Rational Reminder podcast. Number 5, referrals. Yeah, that's right. YouTube outranks the podcast and both outrank traditional referrals. PWL grew from approximately $700 million to $5.5 billion in AUM from 2015 to 2025. One Digital acquired PWL in January 2025, and Felix's YouTube channel was reportedly cited as a strategic asset. Patrick Boyle runs a dual distribution model at a completely different scale, and his numbers reveal which platform actually delivers reach. His YouTube channel has grown to approximately 1.13 million subscribers with videos averaging hundreds of thousands of views each. His podcast? The exact same content, audio extracted, generates approximately 400,000 total downloads per month. That works out to roughly 1,400 downloads per new episode. Same content, same expertise, same production effort. YouTube delivers roughly 300 to 1,400 times more individual exposure per piece of content. Not a little more, hundreds of times more. And then there's Dave Zoller at Streamline Financial. He never started a podcast, YouTube only. 229,100 subscribers. According to an interview on the Between Now and Success podcast, he generates between 60 to 100 qualified leads every month. No podcast, no audio distribution, just YouTube. Now, here's the part I promised earlier, where podcasts actually win, because if I skip this, you should trust nothing else that I've told you. Podcast completion rates dramatically outperform long-form video. According to the 2022 Midas survey, about 70% of people listen to podcast episodes all the way through. Compare that to Wistia's benchmarks. Video completion rates drop to about 14% for content over 30 minutes. And 88% of podcast listeners have taken action based on varying podcast content, according to the Acast Podcast Pulse report. Academic research backs this up. Podcasts create a specific kind of connection. what researchers describe as immediacy, familiarity, and a feeling of friendship. But here's the honest framing. Podcasts build deeper relationships with existing audiences. The problem is getting that audience in the first place. YouTube gets them in the door through algorithmic discovery. Podcast depth keeps them engaged once they're there. The combination is more powerful than either of them alone. And there's one more data point worth considering. Research by Dr. Albert Mehrabian established that 93% of emotional communication is nonverbal, 55% body language and facial expressions, 38% vocal tone. Only 7% are the actual words. An audio-only podcast captures 45% of that communication, whereas video captures 100%. For a profession built entirely on trust and relationship quality, choosing the format that transmits less than half of your communication signal is a strategic decision worth questioning. So what do you actually do with all of this? Well, there are 3 scenarios, and the answer is the same for all 3. If you already have a podcast and it's underperforming, don't kill it, just transform it. Start producing video-first content optimized for YouTube. Strong thumbnails, search-optimized titles, retention hooks in the first 30 seconds. Then extract the audio for your existing podcast RSS feed. 1 production effort, 2 distribution channels, no additional time beyond what you're already spending. Patrick Boyle and Josh Scanlon both do this. It works. If you're about to start a podcast from scratch, don't. Start a YouTube channel instead and distribute the audio as a podcast. You capture the same benefits, intimate listening, high completion rates, while gaining the discovery mechanism that podcasting lacks. James Cannell's journey is your proof of concept. And if you haven't started any content yet, well, you're in the best position of all. Build dual distribution from day one. Film YouTube-optimized video, extract the audio for podcast feeds, focus 90% of your optimization energy on YouTube, because that's where discovery happens. The podcast feed is a free bonus that extends your reach to audio-only listeners. The cost of adding podcast distribution to existing YouTube content? It could be $400 per year for a hosting service. The expensive part is creating great content, and you're doing that for YouTube anyway. The key insight across all 3 scenarios: video first is not anti-podcast. It's the only podcast strategy that actually works for discoverability. Now, I want to be transparent about something. I run a YouTube marketing agency, so of course I'm going to advocate for YouTube. So don't take my word for it. The data in this video isn't mine. It's from Buzzsprout, Cumulus Media, Edison Research, Kitsy's, and the SEC filings of the firms that I reference. The numbers exist whether I have an opinion about them or not. Every advisor in these case studies who achieved the largest measurable business results, Cannell, Sharp, Felix, Scanlon, Zoller, either started with YouTube or pivoted to YouTube as the primary engine. The podcast, where it exists, serves as a distribution extension, not the foundation. So if you've been told you need a podcast by every conference speaker and marketing consultant for the past 5 years, I understand why YouTube feels like the contrarian choice. But the advisors generating the most new clients aren't the ones with the most podcast episodes. They're the ones with discoverable content on the platform where 42% of podcast consumption actually happens. You don't have to choose one forever. Start with YouTube, add podcast audio extraction when your system is running. 1 production effort, 2 distribution channels, 0 additional time. Now, if you're evaluating whether to work with someone on YouTube, I put together a free guide called The Financial Advisor's Guide to Picking a Great YouTube Marketer. It covers the questions to ask, the red flags to watch for, and the vetting checklist that separates people who understand financial services from ones who don't. The link is in the description below. It's free. So now you have the data. YouTube beats podcasting for discoverability, client acquisition, and measurable business results. But here's the concern that I hear from almost every advisor at this point. Andrew, I get it. YouTube is the right platform, but I didn't become a financial advisor to become a YouTuber. How do I build authority on YouTube without looking like I'm chasing followers? Listen, that's a fair question, and there's a very specific way to do it without becoming that guy. I cover it here in this next video. Watch it now. You'll be glad you did.